West must not be fooled by Putin's imperialist tactics, warns David Lammy. The West should not be fooled by Vladimir Putin's attempts to disguise imperialism as pragmatism ahead of potential negotiations over Ukraine's future, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy has warned. Speaking before Labour leader Keir Starmer's visit to Washington next week to discuss Ukraine, Lammy emphasised that while Britain is ready to listen to Russia, there is no indication that Moscow is willing to meet the conditions for a lasting peace. What I heard was the logic of imperialism dressed up as realpolitik. And I say to you all, we should not be surprised, but neither should we be fooled, Lammy said at the G20 summit in South Africa. Following remarks by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he continued, "If Putin is serious about a lasting peace, it means finding a way forward that respects Ukraine's sovereignty and the UN Charter, provides credible security guarantees, and rejects Tsarist imperialism. Britain is ready to listen, but we expect to hear more than the Russian gentleman's tired fabrications." The UK is carefully balancing its support for Ukraine with its relationship with US President Donald Trump, who has begun independent negotiations with Russia, excluding Ukraine and European allies. Tensions between Washington and Kyiv have escalated in recent days after Trump referred to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy as a dictator with low approval ratings who has avoided holding elections. Following meetings between US envoy Keith Kellogg and Zelenskyy in Kyiv, a scheduled press conference was abruptly cancelled on Thursday. Starmer is set to meet Trump on Thursday, during a week of intense diplomatic efforts that will also see French President Emmanuel Macron visit the White House on Monday. The UK Prime Minister aims to de-escalate tensions between Trump and Zelenskyy, who has accused the US President of living in a disinformation bubble. Macron, speaking on Thursday, stated that he would attempt to convince Trump that showing weakness to Putin would undermine US efforts to confront China and prevent Iran from advancing its nuclear program. "I will tell him, deep down, you cannot be weak in the face of Putin. That's not who you are. It's not in your nature and it's not in your interests," Macron said. "How can you be credible with China if you're weak with Putin? And if you don't want Iran to obtain nuclear weapons, you can't show weakness to someone who is helping them get one." Starmer has not publicly commented on Trump's remarks about Zelenskyy ahead of their meeting next week, but the US president's characterization of the Ukrainian leader as a dictator has been widely condemned by Western allies. A Downing Street spokesperson said on Wednesday that Starmer reaffirmed his support for Zelenskyy during a phone call, describing him as Ukraine's democratically elected leader. The spokesperson also pointed out that suspending elections during wartime is justified, as Winston Churchill did during World War II. Among those contradicting Trump's remarks were Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, who stated, "Let's be clear, Zelenskyy is not a dictator," and Shadow Foreign Secretary Priti Patel, who said Trump was not right in his comments about the Ukrainian leader. UK Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy told the BBC on Thursday that Zelenskyy was democratically elected and emphasised the need for careful diplomacy. "We know from our own history in Northern Ireland that commenting on every word that is said is not the way to reach a solution," she said. She added, "We're clear, and the Prime Minister is clear, that we've got to take the heat out of this situation." Meanwhile, Elon Musk defended Trump's stance, claiming on X, formerly Twitter, that Zelenskyy was despised by the Ukrainian people. If Zelenskyy was actually loved by the people of Ukraine, he would hold an election, Musk wrote. He knows he would lose in a landslide, despite having seized control of all Ukrainian media, so he cancelled the election. At Starmer's meeting in Washington, the UK Prime Minister is expected to push for the US to provide security guarantees for Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire with Russia, while discussions on increasing European defence spending are also likely to take place.